Well, you know, tonight I was expecting to have a great conversation with one of our elected leaders here in the state of Louisiana, a real pillar of the institution of government. He was busy, so Congressman Graves is here. Yeah, and that's just because before we started here, he was giving me a rough time, but representing Louisiana's 6th Congressional District, good friend Garrett Graves is here with us. Man, you know, right from the beginning, everybody's talking about this race for governor that's coming up this fall, and everybody wants to know what you're going to do. What are you going to do?
I'm going to keep having conversations with people that I think really care about the state and just want to make sure that we're making the right decision. You know, something that is really important to keep in mind, we need a really good congressional delegation. Yeah. We need excellent people in the state of Louisiana, and we need really accomplished folks working at the local level. And so, you know, if we decide to go run for governor, then there's a void in Congress, right. And so just thinking through it all, where can we ultimately be most helpful to the state, and that's what the conversations we're having are focused on. So I think over the next couple of weeks we'll finish up those and ultimately make a decision.
There's just so many discussions with so many people. Obviously, the most declared Republican right now is the Attorney General, Jeff Landry. And then the people are talking to others. Senator Cassidy said he's not going to do it. Senator Kennedy said he's not going to do it. Obviously, you're thinking about this, but I know you enjoy the work you do in Washington, and it's not a put on. I know you really enjoy it. Kind of talk about that. Why do you like being up there so much, working along the 435 on Capitol Hill?
Well, look, you know, you talked about that number, 435. So being one of 435 people and being able to navigate through that process, it's not easy.
Right.
And one of the things about that process is once you're able to kind of get in there and figure it out, you can get things done. And Vanderbilt University, University of Virginia did an analysis and found that our team was the 5th most successful in actually getting things done, delivering results. And so, you know, I don't know that I necessarily enjoy it because it's a frustrating environment to work in, but being able to actually get points on the board, get things fixed that have been problems for not just years, but for decades, you know, you get some momentum going and you just want to let's keep knocking out these problems and solving them so we can make progress at home.
You know, we were together at the Washington Mardi Gras event that took place earlier this year, and you got a chance to address a number of us who were there for the Economic Development Luncheon, and you talked about where Louisiana is right now, and there were others who talked about all of the dollars that are here for infrastructure. Billions to really modernize our infrastructure. Where is that right now? What's the progress? And at what point will we start to actually see the return on that investment?
Yeah, so two different answers there. One, before the infrastructure bill, Louisiana scored record dollars in both resiliency, so projects like flood control, coastal restoration, and hurricane protection, and in the transportation space, billions and billions of dollars. So that work is underway right now. If you go drive up north of Baton Rouge, looking at the Comite Diversion Project, I mean, they're effectively building an entirely new river from scratch. You go drive and look at places like Beaver Bayou and Blackwater Bayou in the northern parts of the parish, Jones Creek, Ward Creek, and Bayou Fountain in the southern part of the parish. You see extensive amount of work going on down in the river parishes, building $1.3 billion levee. So that extraordinary dirt moving going on there. In regard to the infrastructure bill, we just did a groundbreaking on broadband project in Livingston Parish. The road projects and others really aren't at that point to where you see dirt turning. And Clay, last thing it's really important to keep in mind, was there additional money that was put into infrastructure through that bill? Yes. But when you look at labor shortages, you look at supply chain problems, and you look at just recession, inflation issues, the majority of that money has been consumed by those 3 issues, which is really going to cause a setback in our progress.
You know, people are nervous about where we're headed with the economy kind of teetering on the brink of a pretty scary precipice right here, and you don't know what next year is going to look like. Washington is probably as toxic as it's been in some time. How do you navigate that? Because the two sides don't often seem to talk, which is ridiculous. It's name calling, it's jockeying on television, but it really isn't a whole lot about progress. So how do you get things done for all of the people back here with that atmosphere being so present there?
You're exactly right in regard to how you defined it. That's exactly what it's like, but I think the way that you make progress is, number one, in some cases, instead of coming in and just saying, hey, we're going to eat this whole sandwich in one bite, is you start, all right, let's break this up into 8 different pieces. And so you take your first piece, you start looking around, who are some people, Republicans and Democrats, I can work with that will have a genuine interest in this. And I don't go after the people that are out there throwing verbal grenades and others. It's people that want to be constructive, that are willing to sit down and have a rational policy discussion. So again, what historically might have been one bill, one bite at the sandwich, in this case now you're breaking it up in smaller pieces, being a little bit more strategic about how you're sequencing things, and the people that you're working with, making sure that you're identifying that small group of people that are actually thought leaders and willing to have a rational discussion. And that's how you get things done.
How real is the toxicity, though? I mean, people can play things up on television, but I mean, you're in the rooms. How real is that? Is it as bad as it appears?
It is in some cases, and I think if you look at the people that are most toxic, you see a lot of the same names and faces that pop up on TV and in the newspaper and otherwise. And so, look, I'll say it again, those generally aren't the folks that I'm out there trying to negotiate with and get things done. It's a lot of the people that you probably haven't heard of that are, I'll say it again, that are thought leaders, that are people really interested in figuring out how we have a policy conversation, how we have policy solutions, and truly move the ball forward.
I remember after the flood of 2016, you brought your staffers here, and we had a dinner, and we talked about the community here, and you actually went out and walked in areas that were affected by the flood. So I know you're a boots on the ground kind of person. I want to end with this. Crime, public safety is such a big issue, but I have been a big proponent of people going into inner city communities, talking to the people there, and really understanding what creates this pathway to crime that so many of these kids are on. What more can we do to get some of these young people, as we talked about last week, to choose something better than crime?
Clay, one of the real realizations that I had in going into some of these communities, I thought that when I look at my story growing up, I was like, oh, that was a tough story, growing up in a family that didn't have a lot, but going into some of these neighborhoods, it is extraordinary, and I think it's really important that we truly learn the background that these kids are in, have had, and helping to expose them to what careers, occupations are truly available to them, as opposed to the limited scope that they believe based on the neighborhoods or the community that they're in.
Well, I think there's a lot of work to do there, and I think these kids are worth it. I do believe in enforcement heavily, but I also think investment should be something that we prioritize. Congressman Garrett Graves, it's been fun talking with you. You didn't give me a straight answer about running for governor, but we'll have you back in a few weeks to ask you again. All right, let's talk about charters right here next. Ken Campbell is the CEO of New Schools Baton Rouge. He's been in this education space for a long time. I haven't run into him in a while. I told him I got to get him on TV just so we can have a conversation. Friend of mine for all these years.
Sir.
How's it going, brother?
It's going well. It's going well, man.
Man, you've been at New Schools how long now?
Just about a year.
Just
right
about
a year. Yeah.
You're doing Teach 225.
Yeah.
Your career fair. Tell me about Teach 225.
Yeah, so Teach 225 is part of what we do, right? And it's an important part because one of the things we know makes a difference in the life of a child is a great teacher.
Yeah.
We all have heard about, teacher shortages. We have more and more people who are out there figuring out what works for them. And we're increasingly hoping that people will look at teaching and find it something that is rewarding and also something where you can make a good living and take care of yourself and your family. And so we have this career fair, an opportunity for people to come together, meet schools, talk to them about what they do, and see if they might be interested in teaching. We think we have great programs to prepare folks who want to teach in this city, and also programs for people who teach and say, I might want to go to Baton Rouge. So we're excited about this event. It's going to be February 28th at La B. So kind of right there in downtown Baton Rouge from 4 to 6. But we expect probably at least a couple 300 people to come out and see if they want to kick the tires and become a teacher.
Man, that's fantastic, and that's next Tuesday.
It's next Tuesday, and it's for everybody. So while we work a lot with charter schools and bring great charter schools to the city, it's really something that we focus on. The teacher shortage affects us across the board, and so if people want to teach in traditional public schools, charter schools, even the archdiocese, we just want people to come out, learn more about teaching, and maybe impact the life of a child in a way that you never really expected to.
You know, our next segment is going to be with Ochsner,
Yeah.
Baton Rouge Ochsner Discovery
Yeah.
Schools, opening a campus here this fall.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, all the charters that are being planted in East Baton Rouge Parish.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. You've got the Helix
got
portfolio
Helix
of
portfolio,
schools.
yeah.
And then, you know, Ochsner Collegiate is here,
Yeah.
Basis is here. Why has Baton Rouge become so attractive to organizations that start these schools?
I think for a couple of reasons. Number one is it's a city that you can make a difference in, right?
Yeah.
Baton Rouge is not as big as, you know, a Houston or a Dallas or some of these other places. And so people who want to get into this and really make a difference in the life of a child, Baton Rouge is a place to do it. You could affect generations and really transform their lives in a short period of time. And I think that's one thing that's attractive. The second thing is I think we have parents who continue when we open schools to want to come, who want to experience them, who believe in the promise that things could be a little bit better or a little bit different for their kids. And so schools like, you know, Baton Rouge Ochsner Discovery is going to be critical. I mean,
Yep.
it is partnership with Ochsner, right? So you have an opportunity for Ochsner, you know, kids to go, which is really exciting. And then kids in general to get advantage of an education that's been offered in Kenner, where the first Discovery School is,
Yeah.
wildly successful.
Yeah.
And so we're excited about having them in Baton Rouge to bring them here. And we're always going to try to bring something new and better for parents. Like that's part of what we
Man,
do.
I don't think I need to have Charles and Trey on now after the way you just gave that description. But let's talk a little bit about the schools nowadays. I had someone on a few weeks ago, and she talked about, she's the principal at Lanier Elementary,
Okay.
and talked about how much more teachers are required to
Yeah.
do now
Yeah.
versus, say, 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You wear multiple hats.
Yeah. Yeah.
And going into the profession, you've got to know that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
what that is, and then I've got a follow-up question to that.
So the first thing I think is, yes, we are asking teachers to do a lot more. I think there are some networks and some schools that are wondering if there are better ways to be able to resolve some of the issues that teachers have to take on now. I believe that at the end of the day, what I need teachers to do is come in and teach like a rock star
Right.
for 4, 5, or 6 periods a day, whatever that is. And we have to give more capacity to schools and families
Sure.
to make that teaching job a little bit easier,
Sure.
right? So if we have teachers that are responsible for attendance, right, which some are, like I got to get babies here, like I feel like there are other ways for us to be able to do that so that the teacher could focus more on teaching. It's not an easy profession by any stretch, but I think it is, again, one of the most rewarding that you could you know, undertake.
And it's one of the most essential professions
Yeah.
to the direction of any community.
Yeah.
Teachers are as essential as police officers, doctors,
Absolutely.
nurses. I mean, they just are.
They just are. They just
and
are.
I don't think, you know, the politics
Yeah,
ruins
politics
so much.
ruins so much, and then pandemic. I mean,
Yeah.
we also got to think like we talk a lot about the effect of the pandemic on, you know, kids and families. It was hard on teachers, man. We asked them to do stuff that they never signed up for, right? And they did it with grace. But you know, they're also tired. You know, they're dealing with mental health stuff. We got to be able to support them more.
Teach 225, February 28th at Lobby. Ken Campbell with New Schools Baton Rouge. Back in just a moment. Well, let's keep the conversation going about the work of charter schools here in East Baton Rouge Parish. Trey Nelson is with Ochsner. He's been here before on the show. Charles Nadd is the principal over at Baton Rouge Ochsner Discovery Schools, starting up for the 2023-24 school year. It's going to be at the site of the old Runnels, right here, so you know where it is. Tell me why this school is different. What makes it special?
Health sciences. Health sciences, not just our partnership with Ochsner, but Discovery bases the education around health sciences projects
Okay.
that increases student inquiry.
Now, for Ochsner getting into this space, I mean, people know the great reputation of that organization here. Why get into this space right now?
Well, I heard Ken mention earlier, we have that partnership out in Kenner that's been just such a successful school program, and being able to, one, revitalize the old Runnels campus,
Right.
that's an exciting component, but also bring such a unique school partnership to the Baton Rouge area where there's nothing of this specific type here in the city. I think is exciting for the students, the parents, employees, everything.
Now, this is an open enrollment campus here, so kids can come from pretty much anywhere in the region to be able to attend this school, right?
Correct.
How many slots do you have starting out?
430.
430.
430.
Man, you know, it's amazing. You talk about health science. I love how charters are nuancing the way they teach by having themes. Like Helix has the Aviation Academy. They've got one that they're starting that's going to be based on artificial intelligence. And then you got the health sciences. Dig into that for me a little bit. Like, what are kids going to get with this being the basis of what the school is?
All right. The students will get a health sciences infused throughout all subject matter.
Okay.
We will have, now this is not just with, we're going to have the project-based learning.
Yeah.
That means every grade level is going to have a science lab experience, and this is weekly.
Okay.
Not just, and this is not for a grade. This
Yeah.
is actual hands-on
Right.
student inquiry that's going to produce curiosity and lifelong learning.
Because these kids, you got to keep them occupied mentally.
Right.
And this is something that I think will engage them.
Oh, I completely agree with that. And I think now if you look at the healthcare space post the pandemic world,
Yeah.
we're looking at how do we invest in the future workforce of the city. Even if you don't end up getting into healthcare and you go to Discovery, at a minimum, being able to give those skill sets, like Charles was just saying, we are now running the types of investments into workforce development and healthcare across Baton Rouge and really the state that if we had done 15 years ago, we wouldn't be seeing some of the labor shortages that we're seeing today.
You know, one of the other things that it may be not politically correct to say, but charters as a model have forced traditional schools to evaluate how they educate kids, right? So let's talk a little bit about that, because I got a chance to visit some schools in New Orleans when Collegiate Academies was trying to come here. I was invited to go and canvas and see a couple schools there. Obviously, we've talked about Collegiate here, Basis, Helix, and then with Ochsner doing a health sciences a theme. You can't do it the way they did it when we were kids all those years ago.
Absolutely.
These kids are different in how you engage them now. Talk about that.
All right, the way we engage students, first of all, is the culture.
Right.
The school culture and climate is what's going to fuel academic success and academic curiosity.
Right.
So that's the focal point. When you have a great network, just like Discovery has, where you have a historical academic achievement, that's based off the school culture. The school culture propels academic achievement and academic success.
We can't address crime until we invest in education.
Right.
It goes hand in hand.
Correct.
You have to give kids an opportunity. You know, when a kid can't read or write or count, can't get a job, they're
Yeah.
more likely to be involved in something that's going to end them, put them in the parish prison or worse. I don't think people talk enough about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it all comes back to education at the end of the day, right? Us being able to invest in children so that they obviously can function as adults in society, but they can also get a career here in the area. The companies connecting back in with students to open up internship opportunities. I mean, we have to kind of pave the way a little bit for students to really find success here in the city, and they can.
Tell me where people can find information about the new school that's coming.
Oh, discoveryhsf.org, and click on Baton Rouge Ochsner Discovery.
And
We also have the information session.
yeah, in-person information session that's going to be hosted at Discovery's campus on March 2nd at 6 o'clock p.m.
There we go. So Trey's been here before. Don't be a stranger, Charles. All right, let's talk about 225 Fest. Myra Richardson's going to be on the set next. This young lady is a force of nature, Myra Richardson. She is the force behind 225 Fest, taking place this weekend here in Baton Rouge. What is 225 Fest?
We're so excited to bring this inaugural street festival to the Baton Rouge area. It's something to celebrate 225 Day, which really is something that started off on social media and our Twitter spheres of things that we love about the Capital Region, those playlists, the iconic moments, the food, the people. And we thought, what if we made it a festival? What if we made it an experience coming out of the pandemic of something that people can celebrate all in one place, family friendly, downtown Baton Rouge, with the state capitol as a backdrop. There's nothing more cinematic and beautiful than this experience that we're curating, and we can't wait to bring this to our families.
Let's talk a little bit about some of what's going on down there at the festival.
There are so many things happening for so many different people. There's something truly for everyone, no matter what age, demographic, background you have. We have food trucks, we have vendors, we have a health fair, we have a kids center, we have our experience row with a selfie experience that take you all the way through Baton Rouge. So there's really something that anybody of any age group can really invest and find themselves in.
So this was your idea.
Yeah, I saw 225 Day and I said, what would this look like if we manifested into something? I didn't know I was gonna end up with 7,000 people on the street, but now here we are.
And then you're going to luck up with pretty decent weather this weekend too.
You know, it's Baton Rouge, and we're just gonna keep our fingers crossed because you never want to tempt her.
It
But
could end up being 45 degrees outside. So this is great. I think we don't do enough to celebrate, and Brandy was on a couple of weeks ago talking about her new show, and we referenced this. We don't do enough to celebrate the positive things that happen here, but we spend a hell of a lot of time talking about what doesn't work. So let's talk a little bit more about why these kinds of events are so necessary to the psyche of the people who live here.
I think for me, the most important thing is that as we shift who we are, as we define our identity, not just as the capital region, not just as a college town that's a springboard for our students, but shaping our identity as the cultural impact, the epicenter for the southern region. Every time that there is a natural disaster, we're ground zero. So I want us to be seen as the cultural innovator that we are and who we're becoming. So for me, it's just showing people that like we're more than data points, we're more than the news lines, we're more than just, you know, all of these comparisons to our Dallases and our Atlantas. We're Baton Rouge, and we're making a way for ourselves, making a way for our community, and most importantly, our children.
What are your goals on the back end of this when the day is over and all the people have been out there? What do you hope that you will have accomplished?
I want people to leave 225 Fest and be able to say that they found themselves in the capital region, that they found a niche of people who they resonate with, that they found something good to say, and have tourism drive in, right? There are people who fall in love with Louisiana and fall in love with the accents and the food and the jigging, or even some of our social media trends. But do people really, really know Baton Rouge and know the families, the working class mothers, the people who attend our schools? So for me, it's really humanizing the data, saying that we're not just these points you see on headlines, that we're real people, that we're a real community that is not just trying to survive anymore, but to truly thrive.
Kyle, if we could put that graphic back up there again. You know, my thing is we need to support more innovators kind of like yourself doing this. There's your graphic up there for 225 Fest. And I think it's great. I think people need to get out there. Live After 5 doesn't start until when?
It's going to start in this summer.
So this is the first time you can get downtown for something like this. The weather is supposed to be great.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then there's going to be food out there too. Let's talk about some of the food vendors. I mean, you know, I'm asking for a friend.
I'm so excited. We have Baton Rouge's Best Wings, Empire Wings. We have Caliente Mexican Truck. We have really almost 100 vendors and food trucks out there. So there's going to be really something for everybody. We even have vegan fast food, so something for our vegan friends.
Okay.
We have a special vendor that I'm super excited about. She's called Phil Scene. So she's for the ASL community, so sign language. So there's really something for everyone, no matter what you look like, no matter what you care about. We have something there for you.
225 Fest. I'm going to be out there this weekend. So
Can't
I'm
wait.
hoping to have a good time. Myra Richardson, how can people find you on social media? And you should. How can they do that?
I need everybody to follow 225 Fest at 225 Fest. You can get our website, 225fest.com. You can follow me at Moves with Myra, at Moves with the MOVES with Myra. And my name is Myra Richardson. I can't wait to see you at 225 Fest.
Y'all have a good weekend. See y'all out at 225 Fest. Have a great weekend.